Looking a little bit darker today. Did something change with your lighting?
Maybe. Here, let me just bring it closer.
Or is it a different camera? I remember before you were so bright. Just shining like a star, Brent.
Always. But stars can actually be quite dark, by the way. Brown dwarfs are not very bright at all.
There are black holes.
Yeah, those aren't stars. Those are dead stars. So, no, same camera.
Really?
Oh, really. However, having said that, if it is darker, it could be because I'm using an IP camera with my phone to connect to my laptop so I can have it on Zoom, right? So this is one of those level up things, right? And so, oh, actually, hold on. I know what the problem is.
There we go.
Because I wasn't using the IP camera. Now I am. That was my laptop camera. That's
so it defaulted to your laptop camera.
Yeah, I was switching it around because, yeah. All right.
Tricky.
You ready for a great show today? How was your weekend, by the way?
I am ready for a great show and a great week. And weekend was good. I started running again.
Nice.
And it's been like hot and sweaty here. Especially today. It started getting very humid, like classic Toronto humid summer. It's coming.
You can feel it. For anybody who's joining us, we're starting like 2 minutes. That's the countdown right there. We're going to start the show. Awesome.
And your weekend?
It was good. I had a nice relaxing Father's Day. I got unicorn rainbow socks. Huh?
Oh, I dig it.
Isn't it good? Like I've been thinking about my sock game. We've talked about this on a past show. And I'm like, I am now a little bit closer to being as stylish as Mr. Arthur Tutt.
Getting there. I need some new socks. It's been a while.
Oh,
I'm not going to tell you how many have started getting holes in them.
Ooh, do you have fancy socks?
I do.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm not surprised.
Periodically, they need a little refreshment.
Yeah. This is my second pair of fancy, cool, patterned socks. So I'm very excited. Like the perfect gift. Also ties into my daughter knows me. Let's put it that way. She knows me very well. This is a very appropriate unicorn rainbow sock gift. So I'm very excited about that. Hey, listen, do we have time? Yeah, we do have time. A quick question for you. If you have a meeting at like 11 o'clock and somebody says, we need to move the meeting forward, what does that mean to you?
I hate that. I hate it. It's just like when somebody says bi-monthly. Makes me so angry.
Is it 2 months or half a month?
So angry.
Yeah.
It's just like side tangent. I don't understand how one word can have two opposite meanings. It makes me mad.
So intrinsically,
people love to say it. They're just like, oh, we'll have a bi-monthly meeting. And I'm like, specify, please.
Okay, so moving forward,
Brent, you've struck a nerve.
Okay,
here.
No, move it. I want to know the answer before we start. I'm not going to start this show until I have the answer.
And it's the same thing too. When people are like, "Oh, we'll move it back." It's like, so is that like later in the day? Is that earlier in the day?
Just for you, if nobody else, what would it be for you? What would it be?
My interpretation is if somebody said, we'll move it back an hour, that would mean later in the day an hour. And if someone said we'll move it forward an hour, I would interpret that as an hour earlier. That would be my gut reaction, but I feel like it's not set in stone.
Okay, so thank you. That's exactly how I interpreted it. But I understand that, or what Carolyn was sharing with me was that completely depends on your worldview, which one feels more natural to you. Now, moving forward,
this is getting existential.
And it's just like putting the toilet paper the right way on. Moving forward is, if it's an 11 o'clock meeting, it is moving it forward to 10:30, say for instance, sooner. Earlier. Moving it back is pushing it away. Okay. So
again, it's like if you say earlier and later, there's no ambiguity.
However, how it feels, like what it should be, like in your core, like this is what it should be. If it is moving forward, means earlier, means you are more egocentric. You think of things in terms of yourself. If moving away or moving forward means a little bit like forward in time, as in later in time, then you're a little bit more objective, like as in you have external. You have an external viewpoint.
Okay, I don't know if I would agree with that, but
apparently
we'll let that sink in for.
Okay, so we'll let that sink in.
I feel like you're accusing me now of being egocentric, Brent.
Me too. Like it's not all about you; it's about me too. Yeah. All right,
we're in this boat together.
Yes, you and I. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting because I know the confusion and stuff like that. It's like, what does moving forward mean? What do you mean? And there's, yeah, anyways. All right, shall we do the show?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's move it forward.
Let's move it forward. Backward, you mean? Later. Let's go forward.
You've tuned in to
with
COVID
our businesses
Marketing with Brent Kobayashi and Arthur Tutt. The show to support small business not just to survive, but to thrive.
That's right. We are live with COVID Marketing episode number 67. The show to support small businesses move forward with what they need to do to survive and to thrive. Week daily at 11:11 Eastern Standard Time. If you have questionings on marketing, business, or well, whatever, let us know in the comments. I'm Brent Kobayashi, president of the Kobayashi Zeitguys, a marketing agency here in Toronto, Canada. With me is Mr. Arthur Tutt, a marketing specialist of the Kobayashi Zeitguys, KZKZ. So if you like what you see on this show, share it with your friends, click subscribe, click the bell, do the dance, whatever allows you to never forget to tune in and have your friends and people you care about never forget to tune in. So,
rain dance.
Yes, that's it. What's up today, Mr. Arthur?
So we're going to be getting back into a little Google My Business here for our Small Business Day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Local SEO.
Local SEO, yeah, because before we were talking about some of the basics of setting up a Google My Business account. This next step is about how to build up your, say, visibility, right? And specifically, we're going to be talking about getting citations for your Google My Business profile.
Nice. And just very quick recap, Google My Business is one of the big things as far as local SEO. Local SEO is the stuff that Google does, the search engine optimization, like optimizing how search engines, specifically Google, generally, it also applies to Bing and other search engines, find you and serve you up when somebody is searching for your type of thing. And local SEO is very important for as far as lead gen, customer acquisition, just people coming to your place, especially if you're a very local business, a local community-oriented business. It works for big businesses as well, but that's what we're focused on here.
Yeah, and just to be clear, because I feel like this is important, we're going to be throwing around the word citation a lot today. Mm-hmm. Really what that means is if you imagine a bunch of different directories, business directories, on the internet, a citation is simply when you have your business listed in that directory.
Yeah, that's it. So kind of similar to a link, linking to your website. A citation is a mention of your business to you. You can think of it as, when you're doing your, writing in English class or whatever, you're doing a project and you had to do citations or reference notes to whatever it was that you're referring to when you're quoting things and that type of thing.
And I feel like a quick note here that's important as well is people might be wondering, all right, well, why should we care about citations and directories? And I feel that the simplest answer for that is to think of it in the terms of from Google's point of view, right? When Google's serving up results, when people do a search, Google's always trying to serve up the most relevant, important, trustworthy sources, right? Mm-hmm. And a business that has many citations all over the internet, Google's going to look at that as one of its trust indicators and say, wow, this looks to me like a more legitimate business, versus another business that maybe just has one listing. Google might be like, I'm not as sure if this is a legitimate business. And so who's Google going to choose when they're serving up a result?
And then if you have a whole bunch of businesses, Google has to decide, okay, out of these 30 coffee shops that are kind of generally in your area where we think we'll go, which one are you going to want the most? And so it has to figure out which one goes on top. That's what the optimization is. It's you actually doing activities other than simply running your business and doing a good job, which can help a lot of this just purely naturally. But you can tweak things so that it is really clear to Google that you are relevant in this particular search or for this particular user. And if you don't do those things, then Google has to kind of figure it out. And then if everybody else is doing those things, then Google's going to figure out with them and not with you. Simple as that. So last week, we mentioned taking a nap. So name, address, phone number. And when you're trying to rank Google search results, it's important that your name, address, phone number, because that's really the citation. So that's the key to understand, who is this? Who is this really? Are they really that person? Does this name, address, phone number match to this company? And then looks over at another directory. Does this name, address, phone number match to this company? So unlike a link, which it just literally goes from that link to that website, it's very easy. That's what it's about. It's about that website. The name, address, phone number can be given in many different ways. So if it is not very consistent, then Google doesn't know as easily that it's actually about you. If, for instance, we're on our office is 2906 Danforth Avenue. I have a beautiful office here at the storefront. I love it so much. And if our listing has AVE versus Avenue versus just not even having it at all, if our listing has Kobayashi Technology Limited, which is our corporate name versus the name that we're doing business as and what's in our thing, it's just Google's like having to figure out, maybe this is a different company. Maybe it's not really them. And so therefore this citation doesn't really apply to them.
So I've heard reports that Google is starting to get smarter.
Yeah.
And that it's being able to figure out, like, distinguish between AVE versus Avenue. Yeah. But I think for the purpose of our conversation today, we'll keep it to the old school methodology, which is that your business name, your phone number, your address need to be identical, like letter for letter, number by number, identical across all your different directories that you use.
Well, let's put it this way. We talked about directories. We'll talk about directories in a moment, but you should be tending to your directories, which means as you're tending to all the different directories out there, and we'll get to those in a moment, you might as well update them to be exactly identical. And that is going to support what you want. So as you tend to it and do the different things that we're going to recommend that you do, just get Avenue and Av identical, that there be no inconsistencies. The other thing is, the reason why you also want to do that is because you aren't necessarily the only, or Google's not necessarily the only game in town. Meaning, other people will develop these technologies and have developed these technologies for all of this kind of stuff. I mentioned Bing being one of them that has a similar approach that you would want to do with them. And so as much as Google might be getting smarter, the rest of the world might not be as smart. So you still want to be very clear about these things, because people are also going to use this methodology. I know it for sure.
Agreed.
Okay.
Should we get into some specific directories here?
Yeah. What about them?
So I thought it would be cool here because, I mean, the reality is there are hundreds and hundreds of directories out there, some general, some industry specific. There's an unlimited list of directories that you could get listed on. And in an ideal world, sure, go after all of them and get listed. But what I thought would be good here, just to start things off, is just to give like top 6 listings for somebody who's just starting out. They want to get their profile up and running. Where are like the most important places to start first on the journey?
Go for it. Yep.
And the top 6 that I've got here, and I was also going to list to there's an article by White Spark, and basically they break down by different countries what the most important citations to go for are.
Nice. Okay, so for Canadians, the top 6 are.
So for Canadians, top 6.
Drum roll, please.
So Google My Business being the first one.
Yeah. Okay.
Having your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, Yelp, Yellow Pages, and Apple Maps.
Mm-hmm. Apple Maps is the one that I think probably. Yellow Pages is one that most people have forgotten. Apple Maps are the one that most people are not even going to have in their head. Right? Really, what app? I mean, people might use Apple Maps, but they don't realize that you can have a separate listing on Apple Maps.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things that gets me a bit excited about Apple Maps is the fact that a lot of people don't think about it. And so I feel like there's a lot of potential, because most people think Google My Business, they have their Google My Business listing on there. And it can be a more competitive landscape. And so if there's fewer people on Apple Maps, that's another opportunity to just stand out.
Oh, 100%. And so if you have a really good listing on Apple Maps, remember, these places are serving 2 purposes here. One is they're a marketplace. So, Google My Business is a clear marketplace for people using Google and Google Maps, by the way. But Yelp is a marketplace, meaning you can get traffic specifically from Yelp and specifically from Yellow Pages potentially. But at the same time, you're also reinforcing your presence on the internet at large. Think of it really as you are getting signage on a street. So we talk about location-based businesses as always. What's the walk-in traffic, or what's the street traffic, or the walking traffic in that area? And that's part of what a great location is. By not participating in these directories themselves, you are basically deciding to, I actually don't want that street traffic. I'm going to, you're taking your location, which could be right on a main street, and putting it, a few blocks in, around a corner, maybe behind a warehouse. That's where a lot of businesses are. So you want to do these things. Again, let's contextualize this. If you are a location-based business, meaning people in your general area is where you generally get your business from, or you're partially a location-based business. A lot of people are location-based, but they're doing online stuff, so they're broadening their location, which is very cool. But if your leverage is that you've got, expertise, or you're in the area type thing, then you want to be doing this.
Get yourself listed.
Yes. It's interesting that you mentioned White Spark. White Spark, in addition to having this article that you mentioned, is also one of those tools that you can use to monitor and find places that you can create citations. I've actually used the tool in the past. It's actually pretty cool. It will come up with some really wacky directories. Like you mentioned these top 6 directories, but there are a lot of very specific directories that, like Homestars is an obvious one for construction, but there will be people that create directories as a business. And, there could be local merchant, board of trades, like in other words, merchant associations, and you can get listed in those. And White Spark's idea is to find ones where you might be able to get listed in them, and then keep nurturing them and working through them and all that type of stuff. So it can be an actually pretty cool tool.
The other thing I've actually just linked to in the comments is Moz has a tool, the Local Checker tool.
Yep.
Now it is country specific. It's not all around the world, but they do have Canada and the US on there.
That's actually really cool. When I was using White Spark, Moz didn't have Canada yet. So
Okay.
that's kind of cool. Yeah.
And basically what it is you can put your business, your business listing into the local checker. And what it'll do is it'll check some of those major citations. So it'll check your website, it'll check your Facebook page, it'll check your LinkedIn page, it'll check different citations, and it'll give you a report whether you have consistency across all of them. So it'll show you, oh yeah, on Facebook, your business name is this, but on LinkedIn, your business name is this, and they're different, and the phone number changes. And so it's just a good way to check all those different sources. I think they do have a paid version as well, but the free version gives you a good way to get started.
For sure. Now, one of the things I'd like to say about these directories, and you can leverage them to help you with your Google game, but basically all these directories are doing, a lot of them are playing the Google game, right? So they're playing the Google game, and it's the same game you should be playing, because either you're playing the game or you're paying for somebody else playing the game. So let me be very specific about that. We had a client who is basically selling out, thousands of dollars a year to Homestars because they didn't create a presence. They didn't do all of these things, and they're complaining about it. Indeed.com was another one. We have to pay all this money in order to list our job postings there. And they were like a recruiting agency. And really what's happening is somebody sees there's value in Google. We can understand it. We're going to scale that, and we're going to charge people for access to Google, either Google PPC, pay-per-click, like paid ads, or just organic listings. And that's what all of these directories are trying to do, is get traffic, get eyeballs, so they can sell advertising or sell some sort of services in between, or essentially sell you that access. So, you have to pay to be at the top of the listings type thing. So as you're getting into this, that's actually what you're getting into. You're getting into the Google game versus paying an intermediary. When you pay an intermediary, then what happens is your cost for that just goes up as they get more successful, and they're able to pull the audience away from you, which you might have gotten naturally if you're putting in some of these efforts, to them. Now, that might still be a fine thing to do. However, this game isn't that hard to get into, and it's less expensive than strictly paying for the marketplace. I actually don't think you should not pay for the marketplace, because if you're getting good gigs from it, that's cool. But if you start getting into this kind of stuff, you can actually lower your cost of acquisition and also have a little bit more autonomy to be able to direct your own future. And that can become really super important sometimes. So get into the game. Interestingly enough, and okay, we're going to end here. We don't have time for the last point about online reviews.
Leave on a cliffhanger.
Leave on a cliffhanger. We'll continue again next Monday. However, one of the interesting things, and this is really illustrative of this game, which I want you to really take home, which is about a year ago, GrubHub. I don't know. Do you remember this, Arthur? GrubHub and all the fake restaurant websites?
No.
Okay. So GrubHub, which is like DoorDash and all those things, basically was registering thousands, like 25,000 domain names, creating microsites, and having people for restaurants go to their website, order through DoorDash, even if there was an existing normal restaurant website. And therefore, of course, getting the commission fees and charging extra, right? And there was a big uproar about this, and feel like you're creating fake websites and you're cyber squatting and you're doing all this kind of stuff. And GrubHub basically said, listen, the restaurant owners agreed to this. And what had happened was, in their contract, buried in their contract, was they give the right for GrubHub to register a domain name, host a microsite. I think phone number. I think there's a thing where the phone number was also registered on that site to go directly to GrubHub and all that type of stuff. And I think this is a semi-common practice amongst all of these sort of intermediary ones. And basically what they were doing was looking at an industry and saying, you guys are all really super sucking at having a web presence at all sometimes, at having a website, at doing any kind of search engine optimization. And so we can quite easily pick up a ton of business, even though we still have to have the infrastructure cost, which is actually really super cheap now. at least compared to business returns, to register these domain names and have these websites go up and people end up buying from them. A lot of things that happen with COVID, and this is where the sentimentality of your local community is high, which is going to tie into tomorrow's episode, is that people are like, oh, where can I get the actual restaurant's direct website so that I can order from them, so that they're not paying the Uber Eats, GrubHub, DoorDash fees, because I would just want to order directly so that they can get more money because we care about them. So I don't actually have a problem with what GrubHub really did. It was a little bit, I mean, I kind of do, kind of don't, because it's like, listen, this is something where people aren't taking advantage of what they could. So, just it's the marketplace kind of shaking things out. I do agree with the criticism. I'm glad that they kind of backed off from all of that stuff. To a certain degree, at least I understand. In the sense that, you know what, that was, kind of uncool. It was buried in the clause. It wasn't clear that this is what you're going to do, what the impacts are, and what people could do to get out of it, and all that kind of stuff. So things were just happening where you're just kind of taking advantage of it. So it was a little bit, but it's business. Wasn't illegal. Go for it, and then let it shake out. Some restaurant owners are like, oh, maybe I should start doing this stuff myself and invest in it a little bit myself instead.
Start to see the value in it.
Yeah, because either you end up paying the piper, right? You end up paying for, if you don't want to do marketing for yourself or invest in marketing yourself, you're going to end up paying advertising to the people who are doing it. And that might have made so much sense 30 years ago, like before direct mail even, and all that. That's why direct mail was so huge, where it's like, what else am I going to do except pay for TV, radio, or make sure I find a street location that makes sense, or pay Yellow Pages, right? So those were your channels. Now they're far more accessible to you to do and own yourself. So get into this local SEO stuff. Like, this is super, super important for you to survive and to thrive. And now's the time to do it. All right. I feel very passionately about this one.
I can feel that.
Like name, address, phone number, taking maps. They're very, very super important. All right. So anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Well, there was one more section on reviews, but we might just save that for another day.
We're going to save that for another day. It's going to be an awesome day. All right. Okie dokie. Thank you so much. We're going to go into the outro, and I'm going to tell you about tomorrow. You don't want to miss this.
You've tuned in to COVID Marketing with Brent Kobayashi and Arthur Tutt, the show to support small business not just to survive, but to thrive.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us on episode 67. Remember, get into your local SEO. Now, tomorrow, to continue talking about community, we have Senior Marketing Manager at GoDaddy, Mr. Andy McElwain. He's a long time co-conspirator of mine. We've done a ton of stuff, and he's going to be talking about community marketing. So what can you do as a small business to really, really super up your game? Take advantage of this opportunity. Like, this is life and death for some of you, right? So really, I'm like, if you've got somebody who's a small business, who's a local small business, tune in tomorrow, because this is going to be a super, super important conversation. Tag somebody, share this with people. It's like, say, this is the thing that you need to do, because this is the time when everybody is saying, oh my gosh, my community could possibly change tremendously. These businesses that I care about, that I like, these people that I've seen in my community might disappear. Like, they could be gone. And that's a sad thing, because they were doing so well. They were awesome. And now they're under so much pressure. So there's an opportunity from a marketing perspective and from a brand perspective to really showcase your own brand, your values, who you are as a business, and show up in the world, because the world needs you. So tune in tomorrow. We're going to have Mr. Andy McElwain on. The guy's ridiculously incredible. I've done tons of stuff with him. I think I've been doing stuff with him since, I don't know, 8 years or something else like that. He was even an employee here once, a long, long time ago. Yeah. So a little bit of an alumni thing happening. So anyways, that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we will.
Big shout out to Patricia joining in today.
Yes. Patricia, Tom, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. This information is gold. It's gold for small businesses. You're right, Patricia. This stuff is so important for you to do. Don't take our word for this. So many people are shouting about this. So many people are talking about this. It actually does indeed work. You can improve your business during these times. This is the perfect time to improve your business and make sure you're successful. Just do this stuff, man. Do it. We need you. So do it, please. Like, do it. I need you. I want this place to be, it would be shitty if this place sucked. And it doesn't. And it doesn't have to.
Also, big shout out to David Blackmore. I was checking out some of his latest videos over the weekend. Mindful Minutes. On point.
David, you are kicking ass. I love how much you're producing. Produce more. You know me, produce as much more as you can. But I love what you're doing. All right, dude. Let's cut it. Yep.
Cut it.
Oh, geez. I didn't get into our boomin' slang. We'll have to do that one tomorrow. I've got some really good ones.
Cliffhanger.
Pull request, push request. It's really good.
All right.